Hi, first grade friends. Today we are going to be creating a piece of abstract art, which means art that looks kind of funky, in order to use some geometric shapes. So we're going to be using geometric shapes to create some funky abstract art. So we're going to be drawing something that is organic, something that is found in nature, but we're not going to use organic shapes. We're actually going to use geometric shapes. So draw along with me in this video, and then we're going to be using some primary colors to create some color magic on our picture. I'm using just half a sheet of paper. You do not need to use a whole sheet of paper for this. So we are going to be getting this paper wet. So you might want it to be a thicker piece of paper rather than just a piece of notebook paper, but if that's all you have, it'll still work. Just be really careful with it while it's wet. So the first thing that we're going to draw for our organic thing that we're actually going to use geometric shapes with is the ground. So toward the bottom of your paper, using a black crayon, you're just going to draw a straight line, okay? A straight line across. Now we're going to be drawing a tree. That's the nature thing that we're going to be drawing. So for our tree trunk, what kind of shape could we use? I'm thinking a rectangle. Now, is Mrs. Savory's rectangle perfect? No, it is not, and that is okay. So once you have your tree trunk drawn, then to make the tree top, we're not going to make it wiggly wobbly like it normally would be, like real trees are. We're just going to draw two straight lines kind of reaching up, so it kind of looks like a triangle. It's almost a triangle. I didn't reach all the way up to those corners. So once you have those two diagonal lines drawn, we're going to add some extra lines in here. So once you have your big lines created, then we're going to add some details in here. We're going to kind of add leaves, but we're not going to draw real leaves because those are organic shapes. We're going to draw a zigzag line that bounces back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's kind of bouncing between the branch lines that we created. So I'm starting at the bottom, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay? So if you need to pause it while you do that, go ahead and pause the video. If you are this far, then you are good to go. We're going to set our tree and our crayons aside. And the next thing that you're going to be using are your piece of foil and your markers. The only marker colors you'll need are red, yellow, and blue. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to color a section of your foil with red. So you see Miss Savory's red on there. Then you're going to color another section of foil with yellow. So these sections that we're coloring are about as long as the cap of your marker. See how my yellow marker color on the foil is about as big as my yellow cap? Now we're going to do the same thing with my blue. It's about the same size as my marker cap. Now, we are going to be using this marker on our foil. You could also use a plastic baggie or a plastic grocery bag if you don't have foil. It'll work the same way. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a cup of water and a paintbrush. If you don't have a paintbrush, you could use a Q-tip or even your finger. And these three colors are called our primary colors. And these primary colors do magical things when we mix them together. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix all of these colors together, and I want you to watch and see what happens. So I'm going to mix, mix, mix. I want to make sure I get all of those colors. And you'll notice that there's like a really dark, I made kind of like a really dark, muddy, almost blue color. And you're going to use that color on your paper to paint your tree trunk. So mine's kind of almost a black color. Now, are tree trunks actually black? No, but this is our abstract painting, our abstract piece of artwork. So it's okay if it's black. And if I want to go back and paint over it with a different color, that is totally fine. I could do that too. So now I'm going to use my tissue, get a piece of tissue or paper towel, and I'm going to just gently wipe off my foil, just like that. Now, the next colors that we're going to use are the two primary colors that you might see leaves change the color of. So in the fall, what color are the leaves? They're not green anymore. They might be yellow and they might be red. So they're definitely not blue, right? So I'm going to set my blue off to the side and I'm going to color a big patch of my foil red. And then I'm going to color a big patch of my foil yellow. Okay, nice and big, about as long as your marker. Now, you're going to take your paper. Let's scoot my stuff over here so you can see a little bit more of my paper. You're going to take your paper and we're going to be using these colors. I'm going to make sure I rinse my brush out really well. That way I don't have any of that black color get into my treetop. I'm going to take my wet paintbrush and I'm going to get some red and I'm going to paint some of my leaves red. Make sure you take your time, and if you're using a paintbrush, you want to make sure that your paintbrush dances on its tippy toes, okay? So that's the very point of your brush. You don't want to squish it down, so the paintbrush hair, the bristles, you don't want the hairs to get messy and squished down. You want them to stay nice and pointy. Look at Mrs. Savory's brush. It's nice and pointy. So I'm going to paint one more of my triangle leaves red. Then I'm going to rinse my brush out really well. I'm going to wipe my bristles. If you're using your finger, you can just kind of wipe your finger off on your tissue. Then I'm going to get some yellow. And I'm going to get some yellow to do only some of my little leaves here, my little triangle leaves. We're going to leave some empty because we are going to be mixing yellow and red to see what color we get. I'm going to give you a hint. It's another color that you might see in trees during the fall. All right, you ready? So we're going to get some water on our brush and we're going to mix this color up. Mix, mix, mix. Can you see it? Can you see that color? I can see it. Let's test it out. It's orange. So yellow and red, when you mix them together, make orange. How awesome is that? I'm going to paint the rest of my leaves with my beautiful orange. And I think I'm even going to take some of this orange that I've made. I think I'm going to put it on top of my black. Maybe that'll make my black look a little bit more brown. What do you guys think? Oh yeah, I think that looks great. So you can do that too if you'd like. All right, so that looks a little bit more brown and my treetop looks beautiful. Now, you're going to take your napkin again, or your tissue or your paper towel, whatever you have, and we're going to clean off our foil, again, really gently. You want to make sure it's nice and clean and as dry as it can be. Now, we're going to make the grass. So we're going to use yellow. And what other color do you think I might need to make the color of grass? It's not orange, right? It's not red because we know red and yellow make orange. So I wonder if we use our other primary color, which is blue, what'll happen. Now, do you see how much yellow I added? So much yellow, right? And only a little bit of blue. So do a lot of yellow and a little bit of blue. Then you're going to take your paintbrush, make sure you rinse it out really nicely. And then you're going to mix these colors together. And look at that lovely green that we've made. So the reason you only add a little bit of blue is because blue is a really dark, strong color. And when a color is really dark and strong, it tries to take over. it would want to turn the green into blue. It's kind of, blue and red can be really bossy colors. All right, so there is my green. Now, the last part that we need to do is the sky. And I'm going to show you a fun bonus thing that you can do. If you have a white crayon, you can add little ovals in your sky and color them in. Now, can you see my white crayon on here? No, you cannot. And that is okay. We're going to do something kind of magical. So I'm just adding some white ovals on here and I'm coloring them in. And once you've done that, you can get a little bit more blue on your foil and we'll paint the sky nice and blue. And look at that. Do you see my clouds shining through? And if you run out of blue, all you have to do is put more blue marker and get a little bit more water. Alrighty, so here is Mrs. Savory's tree. That is an organic thing, right? It's something that grows in nature, but we've made it abstract by using geometric shapes, so it looks kind of funky. I hope you guys had lots of fun, and I cannot wait to see your wonderful autumn trees. Once this is dry, you can use your crayons and you can go back in and draw little details if you'd like. Can't wait to see what you make.